Alright guys, 1999 is finally here. So I've got the update downloading right now, and in the meantime, we're going to go and take a look through the patch notes and see what all they've changed, what they've added, any like new features we didn't know about. That's the kind of stuff I'm most interested in. Okay, so let's go and take a look and see what we got here, y'all. So what I would like to see is a section that only has console specific notes. Okay. That way I could look through those and see like what areas they might need to improve on, or maybe some features that are missing somewhere. So I think that'd be really interesting. Quality of life changes. I'm glad that is going to be the first thing we're going to look at, because that's what I'm mostly interested in right there. And I'm hoping favoriting relics is going to be a thing now. Okay, I thought that was for sure going to be a thing the last time when we got favorites added into the game. Okay, but unfortunately, relics wasn't included in that. And like that was the main reason why I suggested it in the first place. So I'm glad we got the favorites added, but it really needs to go towards the relic system. Okay. For me, where most of the stuff I'm doing is short lists, like whenever new stuff comes out, I make a list of that stuff and then I go through and start, collecting and then running the relics. And so I have to keep a list so I know like which ones I want to run and what, variation I want to run them at. Okay. And it gets confusing for me to know like which ones I need to run. Because if it's not a rare part, then I'm probably not going to upgrade the relic. So then the relic is like buried in with all the other relics. Okay. So it would be a lot easier if we could find the relics we want to run that is like of most importance, because they contain parts or items that we haven't mastered yet. Okay. And when you're trying to do that, if you could have like specific relics that you found before and you said, I want to favorite that. And also, I think even if you don't have the relic yet, you should be able to favorite it. Okay. And that way, as soon as you pick up one of those relics, it's already going to be favorited. And then, of course, you'll be able to, like, once you get the item you want out of it, then you can go in and say, let's go ahead and unfavorite that now. Okay. And another thing they could do that would really, really help is a couple of things that I was thinking about. We need more sorting filters for your relics. Okay. If we don't have very many sorting filters yet, we have one for like refined and that kind of thing, which is great, but it doesn't really do much overall. I think a really good filter to have would be contains unmastered parts or something like that. Anytime an item hasn't been mastered yet, okay, then relics containing parts that go to those items, those should be in that list. Okay. And so if you could select that filter and have it always on that filter without, unless you go and change it, then I think picking relics would be a lot easier overall. Okay. Because if you're not going for anything specific, you're just wanting to like build up your inventory, right? So you would want to open just the relics that contain parts for items you haven't mastered yet. So that would be a really good filter to use in that situation. Okay. And then another filter, I'm not exactly sure how it would work. Okay. But if I could have it set to where any relic containing parts that are unowned, So we have parts that are unmastered and parts that are unowned. So at the stage where I'm at, that's the filter I would use because at this point, I just want to build up my inventory. Okay. My goal right now is to work towards having every single item in the game as far as primes go. And then that way, whenever like someone in trade is like, hey, I want to buy this, prime set or whatever else, then I'll know I'm probably have that. Okay. And so that's what I want to work towards. And having a filter like that, I wouldn't have to worry about like figuring out like what relics I need, which ones I want to run. I wouldn't have to do any of that. I just select the filter, contains unowned parts, and then there you go. And I just run those all day long, and then I have a really good chance of filling out my inventory at that point. If we don't get that filter that would accomplish that, okay, but if we do get the favorites option, that's a lot of a longer process, but it's still a lot better than what we have now. So then what I would do is I would go through my entire relic selection screen at the relic station, and I would go through one by one and look through every single relic. Okay, and if it contains parts that I don't have yet, then I favored it. And so at that point, as I'm running fissures, then I just run through the list of favorited relics. Okay, so there's the name of the new tile set, Hall of Ania. Now, this does bring up an interesting point that certain items, as far as like drops go and like enemy locations, sometimes it is region specific, means it's only on a certain tile set. Okay. And I think the navigation screen, when you're looking through the levels, it should clearly state what tile set it is using. Okay. So there's a really good idea for them to work on going forward. And I pitched an idea a long time ago, right? And I'm going to go ahead and pitch it again because I think it would be a phenomenal upgrade. The way we have it now is great. You go through the star chart, you go to Earth, you go to Venus, whatever else, and you pick your missions. What I pitched before was an alternate way to launch missions. So the alternate way would be in the special mission group we have up at the top right. So there would be another section up there that would say mission select. So then you would go to that and then you would have filters. So if you, for example, are clearing out the star chart, you have a loadout set up to run spy missions. And you're like, okay, I want to go and clear out all the spy missions like throughout the entire star chart. The only way to do that right now is to go to each planet and move your cursor around. Is this one a spy? Is this one a spy? Is this one a spy? Okay. What I propose is a special mission select option. Okay. That will give you filters that will say you click on like mission type as a filter and you can say spy missions. And then you could also select maybe like exterminate missions. So I don't know why you would want to do it that way, but if you wanted to, you could do it that way. And you could say, show me all the spy missions, show me all the exterminate missions. Okay, great. You have a list there that's going to be all of them, right? And then you would be, and then in the list, it would show you whether that mission is completed or not. So then you could go right to it and complete it, come back out, go back to your list, and then find another one that's not completed. And remember, you would be launching it through this mission select menu instead of going through the star chart. But keep in mind, the original star chart and all that stuff, that all stays the same. This would be just an alternate path to select the missions. So another thing is, what about when you're just trying to clear out the star chart? If you want to see like everything that isn't completed yet, then there should be a filter that says incomplete. So you click that, and then you'll see a list of every single node that is not completed yet. And of course, a lot of them are going to be locked. And what it should do is put all of the available nodes first so that you'll see it, and then you'll go, okay, so I need to start at the top and work my way down on this planet and this planet and this planet. So that's one of the things I think people do get pretty confused about is what direction they need to go in order to unlock the planets. Okay. Um, I remember I started a fresh account a long time ago, and I was trying to figure that out, and it got really confusing. I mean, I was looking through like where the where the junctions are, then like what junction do I go after here? And I just got to a point where I was like, this is too confusing. So I don't know if they fixed it since then, but I know like even as a veteran player, I was getting frustrated because I couldn't figure out like what the next step was in order to continue progressing the star chart. If that's still a problem, please fix that immediately. Okay. And this idea that I'm proposing here, I think that would do a great job of fixing that problem. Okay, because you would immediately see at the top of the list would be the ones that's available, and the ones that's like you do this one, you do this one, then you'll start opening up more stuff. And then it'll tell you once you get to a certain point, go to, let's say Earth and complete the junction, right? So that would be a great thing. That would give you like a roadmap. And I think that's something a lot of people are just begging for. Is some kind of roadmap to tell you like, here's the goal I want to set. Now you like give me an idea about where I need to go to start accomplishing those goals. So that's what I think would be a really big help. So the starter slots, I think that is a great change. Okay, absolutely love seeing that. That was one of the biggest points I think that probably drove a lot of players away is when they go into it and then they're like, you start with like one slot that's already used by your starter frame. And I don't think you actually get any slots unless you buy them with platinum starting out. And so I think a lot of players just saw that as like, okay, this is pay to win. I'm not going to be able to actually gain, and get any like slots for new gear and new frames without having to pay for it with platinum. And so I think a lot of people probably saw that and was like, uninstall. That's not a good thing. Okay. Look, they have really got to work on new player experience. And I mean a lot more drastic than this. So, one thing that I was thinking about recently was whenever you're going to pick your starter frame, imagine if by the name of each of the frames it said play Warframe trailer. That would give you like an overview and explaining like what the abilities are and what they actually do. And those videos should be up to date. So as of right now, I don't think they actually update those videos. Like once, like reworks and that kind of thing happen. I don't think they make new Warframe videos. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are asking, what are these Warframe videos you're talking about? Okay. So, case in point, that's exactly why those should be included within the game itself. Okay. And this is something that a lot of other creators have pointed out. Warframe should include specific videos that will help and guide players to understanding the content. okay, and how things work. Like when you first start out, you go into the modding screen and it's telling you, put a mod in here or put 3 mods on, and it's not fitting, right? And you're not actually able to accomplish that, then you should have an option that says learn more about modding. That's great. I want to learn more about modding. That's what we're here to do. And that button should flash. So every time like you try to put a mod in and then it flashes red where it's not going to let you do it, then you should also get another flash where it's going to say learn more about modding. And that should flash as well. Okay, that's telling you like, look, there are systems here that you're not understanding how they work. So you click that button, that opens up a video player. Here is what I would love to see is a video that would play that is created from a Warframe partner, like Lazar, like Nightmare Frame. I'm pretty sure he's a partner. Pupsker, I'm pretty sure he is a partner as well. So there's a lot of different content creators. I'm sure that they could get them to make, simple and easy to understand videos to where they would just be like all over the place, but in a specific button on the screen that would say, learn more about whatever it is. Okay. So, like, if you go into the codex, learn more about the codex. And then if you go to quests, learn more about quests. This is something I think that is totally overlooked by a lot of newer players because the newer players are looking for like new systems to get into. They're looking for new storylines, looking for all these other things, and they're going and running just regular missions and doing all this other stuff, and they don't realize that it's buried in the quests. Okay, the quest is where they have to go to unlock new systems, to get more storylines and things like that. Because right now there isn't really anything that tells you what the quests are and like what you can expect out of a quest and out of different types of quests as well. Because you have like storyline quests, then you have like simple quests. All right, guys. So I went ahead and pulled up one of these Warframe profiles. Okay. I think within the game, it might make more sense to say Warframe trailer because it is kind of a preview that just kind of shows you like who the Warframe is, like what they're all about, that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this, and I'm guessing a lot of you guys probably didn't even know this was a thing. Okay, it is, and there's one of these I think for probably every single Warframe. And I've seen a lot of people do reactions to like the Prime trailers, which is great, but those don't actually go and explain like what their powers are, like what they're doing, any of that stuff. So let's go and check this out, y'all. Now we do have to keep in mind this is 11 years old. Okay, that is just crazy. So this was from update 8.3. So of course, this isn't going to be accurate anymore. This is going to show us like what the Warframe was like to use back then. And that's why I said, in the game itself, there should be updated videos every time something changes.
This is Mag, a force to be reckoned with. She is a master of all things magnetic and can tip the scales of battle in almost any situation. Mag operates in extremes, and her polarizing nature is reflected in her abilities. Pull allows Meg to bring her enemies closer and in range to be taken out.
So I just thought about something else too. Not only is this like early days for Mag? This is early days of Warframe overall. This was 11 years ago. So this is really interesting. So this is like really early days of Warframe we're seeing right
With shield polarize, Meg can deplete the shields of enemies within range, or restore an ally's, quickly turning the battle in her favor. When up against a greater foe, Bullet Attractor will magnetize the target, causing any bullet that passes nearby to immediately strike. If your target dies while still magnetized, the attractor becomes volatile and causes damage to anything in range of it. When the battlefield gets crowded, Tenno, Crush will magnetize the bones of your enemy, causing them to collapse upon themselves in a fantastic display of force. Employing mods will help to increase Mag's already...
Don't look at this. Pay no attention to what you're seeing right now.
...great influence on the battlefield. Utilizing range-extending mods will allow you to pull an enemy within melee range from a much greater distance.
So some of you guys are looking at this and you're going, what in the world is going on here? So we could see the mods, right? Pull, shield polarize, crush. But yes, abilities used to be mods that you could take off or put on if you wanted to have access to those abilities. Okay.
Utilizing extended duration and range mods will increase the length of time and distance from which bullets will be attracted to your enemies. Focusing the power of your Warframe, as well as utilizing range-extending mods, will allow you to decimate enemies from further than ever before. Meg is a team player, Tenno, and a worthy addition to any squad.
So, there you go. You guys let me know how interesting that would be for anyone loading up Warframe for the first time, and then they see play Warframe trailer. How many people wouldn't click on those? Yeah, let's see, more information about these Warframes before I go and make a decision. Okay, I just briefly read the end of this section right here, and it is not as good as I thought it was going to be. Mastery rank tests no longer make you wait 24 hours upon failing an attempt, meaning you can continue with mastery rank test attempts until you succeed. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so I read the end part of it. The cooldown timer remains for successful attempts, but we've reduced it from 24 to 23 hours. Okay, that's great. So, I was under the impression when I read it that it reduced it from 24 to 23 hours. That's the only change that they made. So if you fail it, instead of waiting 24 hours, you now have to wait 23 hours. I thought that's the direction they were going with this. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not what they said it was going to be. So incredible change. Love to see it. Okay, so that is true. I can definitely understand that. So since there's no penalty for failing, there's no real need to practice anymore. So this right here, I didn't know what it was before when we read it. Palm to PC. The Palm to PC is your access point to Holovania missions, as well as many new systems in Warframe. Log into the terminal to access the following. Nav now, Holovania mission select. A calendar, and the relationship system. Okay, so that is somewhat along the lines of what I was suggesting before. So we're already in that kind of territory of getting a new system that is an alternate way to load missions. Okay, so I think something like this could be a great way to get that menu in there. So here is something that is really interesting right here. So for the ancient healers, remove their ability to give overguard to allies. So if we go and think about the videos that were basically saying DE is destroying CC builds because of overguard, this right here disagrees with you. Okay, if that were the case, overguard would be, even more powerful, and even more enemies would have overguard if that were the case. See, a lot of people, they just focus on surface level, okay, and they don't think about the bigger picture. The bigger picture is they don't want to have brain dead builds. They don't want to have it where you just push a button and everything dies or everything is under control. Okay. CC is fine. Crowd control is a great thing as far as DE is concerned. But what they don't want is for an ability to trivialize an entire, game session where you just turn on an ability and then you don't have to do anything else. Like that's it. They don't want that. They want you to have to engage with at least some of the enemies. Okay, so that makes perfect sense. It's all about balance. They want us to feel powerful. They want our builds to work in specific ways. And if our builds aren't working anymore, then, well, guess what? We have to go back and rework our builds to make them work again. So I think they really should rework the way you get tenant melee weapons, anyways. Okay, this is a great change, but as I was watching some other YouTubers, some of the things that I heard them point out was going through the standard lich system is a lot better because then you can pick whatever element you want and you don't have to wait for a vendor to bring it. You just, run the mission as many times as you need to until they actually have the weapon you want, and then there you go, you're done. I think this system would be better if you could pick a weapon you want that's here or whatever else. And then once you go to buy it, you should get to pick what element you want to put on it. So, like this one, 48% impact. I think that's fine, but when you go to click on it, you should be able to change that impact to whatever else you want. And then, of course, I guess the percentage would still be the same, but you could essentially pick a different element to put on it. I think that's a reasonable request. Changed Hildren's Pillage shield strip to be more in line with other shield strip abilities, where it actually strips the shield instead of doing damage to the shield. That way it doesn't get stopped by overguard or get modified by damage resistance. Again, like this is a great change. This is going towards making our builds work better. Okay. So what is this? Forced status effects. So does that mean innate status effects? I'm guessing that's what they're talking about here. So I guess now they're called forced status effects. Some forced status effects are not properly reflected in this tutelip, which we hope to address in 2025. Look at that. I gotta see what this is all about here, y'all. What in the world is happening here? Okay, I did not read ahead at all. Added videos demonstrating Volt, Mag, and Excalibur's passives to their ability screen. So it's not exactly what I was talking about, but they've added videos. So are they talking about just the mini videos that play, I guess? Whereas I think, you know, you should be able to click on the video itself or on the ability. Instead of having a small window, it should bring up at least a bigger window so you could actually see what's going on. Because a lot of times they're just so small, it's hard to actually see what's happening. And then maybe they could utilize like the same format of the profile videos, but have them split up into separate abilities, right? Um, so like if you hover over the ability, then you'll see what it does now, where it's just a mini video that plays without any sound. But I think if you actually click on it, then maybe it should pull up a bigger window that will actually be more in line with what we saw in the profile video, right? Where it actually tells you about what the ability is and what it does. All right, guys. So I was hoping there was going to be a lot more quality of life changes, okay, but there wasn't a whole lot in that area, okay. So, all right, that's it for now, y'all.